Have you ever let one rude comment, one irritated tone, or one annoying moment ruin your whole day? Maybe someone cut you off in traffic, ignored your idea in a meeting, or sent you a passive-aggressive text, and suddenly your whole mood shifted. It's strange how quickly our peace can vanish. But what if you could stay calm and clear no matter what anyone else says or does? That's not just wishful thinking. It's possible. Carl Jung, one of the most influential thinkers in psychology, believed that real emotional strength comes not from controlling other people, but from mastering what's happening inside you. He taught that most of the anger we feel isn't really about what's happening on the surface. It comes from what's hidden beneath, what he called the shadow. That shadow holds the parts of us we ignore, avoid, or don't want others to see. And that's where we begin. What if the anger you feel at someone else isn't really about them? What if it's about something deeper, something unresolved within you? Jung explained that when we get strongly triggered, it's often because a hidden part of ourselves is being touched. That emotional charge is coming from something inside, not outside. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we can stop giving our power away. Let's look at an example. Sarah is a 32-year-old marketing manager who's confident and loves her job. During a team meeting, she presents an idea she's excited about, but then her coworker, Tom, cuts her off and says, "That's been done before. Let's move on." The room goes silent. Sarah feels embarrassed. Her face flushes and anger rises like a wave. She wants to respond, to defend herself, but she pauses. Why does this hurt so much? She wonders. That pause is important. Because Sarah realizes it's not just Tom. His comment hit a part of her that's deeply afraid of being dismissed. As she reflects, she sees a pattern. This isn't the first time she's felt unseen or unheard. It goes back years, maybe to times when her voice didn't matter growing up. That's her shadow, the hidden fear of not being good enough. Tom's words touched that nerve. Carl Jung taught that the shadow isn't something to fight or hide from. It's something to learn from. The intense emotions we feel when triggered are actually clues. They point us to old wounds or fears we haven't faced yet. If we ignore the shadow, we'll keep getting hijacked by small things. But if we face it, we reclaim control. That's what Sarah began to do. She asked herself, why does his dismissal shake me so much? In that question, she uncovered the deeper truth. Her worth had become tied to being validated by others. She feared that if her ideas weren't accepted, then maybe she wasn't good enough. But once she saw that clearly, the anger began to soften. She wasn't just reacting anymore. She was beginning to understand herself. So how do you start doing this in your own life? It begins with awareness. Jung called this making the unconscious conscious. That means noticing what's really going on beneath your reactions. The next time something triggers you, pause. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling, and what does this remind me of? Often, it's not about the situation. It's about an old emotion being reawakened. Here's a simple way to begin. Keep a shadow journal. Anytime you feel angry or hurt, write down 3 things. 1. What happened? Describe the situation briefly. 2. What am I feeling? Name the emotion and give it a number from 1 to 10. And 3. What's underneath it? Ask yourself, what fear or belief might be hiding here? Even if it's uncomfortable, be honest with yourself. Sarah tried this after the meeting. She wrote, Tom dismissed my idea. I felt hurt and embarrassed. An 8 out of 10. Beneath that, I'm afraid that my ideas, and maybe even I, aren't good enough. It reminded me of being ignored as a kid. Just writing it helped her see clearly. Her anger wasn't just about the moment. It was an echo of something deeper. When you do this, you're not suppressing your emotions. You're learning from them. You're not saying the other person was right. You're simply taking responsibility for what's yours and choosing not to give them the keys to your emotional state. That's not weakness. That's strength. Carl Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." The rude coworker, the annoying driver, the snarky message, those things lose their power when you see what they're really triggering. Your anger isn't random. It's a doorway to self-awareness. And once you step through it, you don't just calm down. You rise above. So next time you feel that tension rising, don't bury it or explode. Pause. Ask, what is my shadow trying to tell me? Because when you begin listening to that voice, you stop reacting and you start becoming who you were always meant to be. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling frustrated and thinking, I could have handled that so much better? Maybe someone said something that caught you off guard, and before you could think, you snapped. It happens to all of us. But Carl Jung's teachings remind us of a powerful truth. Between what triggers you and how you respond, there's a space, and that space holds your freedom. In that brief moment, between stimulus and reaction, you have the ability to pause, reflect, and choose. But most people miss that moment completely. Why? Because we're often on autopilot. We let the emotions take over and blame the other person for how we feel. But what if you could press pause, even for a few seconds, and take back control of your emotional response? Carl Jung believed that our reactions are rarely just about what's happening right now. They're shaped by our inner world, by old beliefs, wounds, and stories we carry. So when someone insults you or questions your worth, they're not causing your anger, they're activating it. The fire was already there. They just lit the match. But here's the good news. You get to decide whether that fire becomes destruction or transformation. Let's look at John. He's a 28-year-old graphic designer who's always had a close bond with his childhood friend Mike. One evening over drinks, Mike says, "You're still doing that artsy stuff. When are you going to get a real job?" John feels the insult cut deep. He wants to defend himself, lash out, or walk away. But instead, he stops. He breathes. He asks, "Why is this bothering me so much?" In that moment of pause, John realizes something important. Mike's comment touched an insecurity he hasn't fully faced. The fear that others see his creative work as less meaningful. But as he reflects, he also sees something else. Mike's comment says more about Mike's own fears and regrets than it does about John's path. Instead of reacting, John stays grounded. He chooses peace over proving a point. Carl Jung's concept of individuation, becoming your true whole self, is rooted in this power of conscious choice. He was also inspired by Viktor Frankl, who said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose, and in our choice lies our growth and freedom." That pause is where you reclaim your story. You're no longer living in someone else's narrative. You're writing your own. So how do you actually apply this in real life? Try this technique, the 3-second pause. It sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful. The next time someone says something that triggers you, stop for just 3 seconds. Take a deep breath, feel your feet on the ground, and then ask, is this really about them, or is something deeper in me being touched? Here's what it looks like in action. You're at a family dinner. Your uncle leans over and says, "You're always traveling. Don't you ever want to settle down and do something serious?" Your first instinct is to defend your choices or roll your eyes. But instead, you pause. You breathe. You think, maybe he's projecting. Maybe he regrets not living more freely. And then you respond calmly, "I love what I do. It gives me joy." Or maybe you say nothing at all and let it go. This isn't about being passive. It's about being intentional. Carl Jung believed that when we choose our response instead of reacting impulsively, we're no longer driven by the unconscious. We're stepping into a deeper version of ourselves. Stronger, wiser, more centered. You don't lose your voice, you use it with purpose. Let's look at another example. Lisa is a high school teacher. One morning, she gets an email from a parent accusing her of being too strict. Her first reaction is to get defensive. She wants to hit reply with a long explanation. But instead, she tries the 3-second pause. She breathes. She reflects. Maybe this parent is just overwhelmed. Maybe this isn't about me. She responds, "Thank you for your concern. I'd love to talk more about how we can support your child." That's strength. That's self-awareness. The beauty of this approach is that it doesn't require perfection. It just requires practice. The more you pause before reacting, the more natural it becomes. Over time, your nervous system learns that not every comment, look, or situation needs a fight. You become more grounded, more aware, less shaken. Carl Jung said that true power lies in becoming conscious, bringing light to the automatic patterns that usually control us. When you choose your response, you're not suppressing your feelings. You're honoring them by handling them with care. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, remember, you don't have to go. You can pause, reflect, and choose a different path. That moment of silence, that's where your freedom lives. Have you ever felt completely drained by the constant demands of others? Like you're always saying yes when deep down you want to say no? Carl Jung believed that becoming your true self, what he called individuation, means learning how to separate who you truly are from what others expect you to be. And one of the most powerful ways to begin that journey is by setting clear, loving boundaries. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about protecting your peace so you can stay grounded and show up as your best self. Without them, you become stretched too thin, emotionally reactive, and eventually resentful. Jung taught that if you don't consciously define who you are, others will do it for you, and their version will never match your truth. Think of your inner world like a garden. Boundaries are the fence that protects it. They don't block out love, connection, or joy, but they keep out the weeds, the stress, chaos, and disrespect that choke your energy. Every time you say no to something that drains you, you say yes to something that restores you. Take Mia, for example. She's a 35-year-old single mom running her own business. Her friends often call late at night, venting about their lives, or asking for last-minute help. Mia cares deeply, but those late calls leave her exhausted. One evening, her friend Lisa calls again, this time around 10 p.m., upset about a work issue. Mia stares at her phone, feeling torn between helping and resting. But something shifts. She remembers Jung's idea. To become whole, we must stop abandoning ourselves for others. Mia texts Lisa back, "I care about you deeply, but I'm reserving evenings for rest and time with my daughter. Can we talk tomorrow?" That small boundary becomes a turning point. She doesn't lose her friend. She gains space to breathe. Boundaries like this aren't selfish. They're sacred. When you draw the line, you're saying, my energy matters, my mental space matters. You're declaring that your well-being is not up for negotiation. As Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Boundaries are how you start claiming that privilege. So how do you set boundaries without guilt? Try this 3-step tool, the boundary blueprint. Identify your limit. Ask yourself, what's draining me right now? Be honest. Communicate clearly. Use I statements like, I need quiet after work to recharge. Keep it calm and firm. Stay consistent. Uphold your boundary even if others push back. Respect builds through repetition. Let's walk through another real-life situation. Imagine you're at work, and a colleague keeps piling extra tasks on you. You don't want to seem unhelpful, but you're drowning. Using the boundary blueprint, you pause. You identify the limit. I can't keep doing their work and mine. You respond. I'd love to help when I can, but this week I need to focus on my own projects. And when they ask again tomorrow, you stick to it. That's how you build trust with yourself. Setting boundaries doesn't mean conflict. It means clarity. You're not punishing people. You're just telling them where you end and they begin. People may not love it at first, but they will respect it. And if they don't, that reveals more about them than it does about you. Jung believed that true wholeness comes from integrating all parts of ourselves, including the voice that says, "This is too much." That voice deserves to be heard. The more you honor it, the stronger you become. You no longer wait for others to respect you. You begin by respecting yourself. Take David, a college student whose roommate keeps borrowing his stuff without asking. David is tired of feeling taken advantage of, but he doesn't want drama. So he uses the boundary blueprint. He identifies the limit. I need my space and things to be respected. Then he says, "Hey, I don't mind sharing, but please ask first. It helps me keep track." His roommate forgets once, but David reminds him gently. Over time, the habit changes. David feels more at peace in his own room. The beauty of boundaries is that they restore your center. They protect your time, your energy, your voice. They help you stop over-explaining, over-giving, and over-apologizing. And in that quiet strength, you become who Carl Jung believed you were always meant to be. Authentic, balanced, whole. So, the next time you feel pulled in 10 directions, pause and ask yourself, what boundary do I need to set to honor myself today? Try the boundary blueprint, and watch how even small changes bring you closer to inner peace. Have you ever received a harsh comment that left you feeling hurt, angry, or even questioning your worth? Maybe someone said your work wasn't good enough. Maybe they judged your choices or pointed out a flaw. In that moment, it's easy to shut down or fight back. But Carl Jung believed that criticism, when approached with awareness, isn't just something to survive. It's a mirror that can reveal hidden parts of ourselves, the parts we're ready to grow through. Criticism is uncomfortable because it often touches our shadow, the side of ourselves we don't like to see. That's why some feedback stings more than others. It doesn't just challenge what we've done. It challenges who we believe we are. But instead of seeing criticism as an attack, Jung invites us to see it as a chance to become more whole. The emotional pain we feel, it's not always proof that someone's words were unfair. It might be proof that there's something inside us we haven't made peace with yet. Let's look at Alex, a 30-year-old software developer. He recently poured his heart into a coding project at work. When his manager reviewed it, she said, "This feels rushed. You need to step up your game." Her words hit him hard. He felt embarrassed and angry. His first instinct was to shut down and replay her comment over and over in his mind. But then he paused. He remembered Jung's idea that everything that irritates us about others can lead to deeper self-understanding. Alex sat with the discomfort instead of avoiding it. He asked himself, why does this hurt so much? What he uncovered surprised him. Her words echoed an old fear he rarely admitted. The fear that he's not really capable, that he'll never measure up. By facing that fear instead of pushing it down, Alex realized he had rushed the project. Not because he's lazy, but because he was trying to prove himself too quickly. The criticism helped him slow down, learn. Jung believed the shadow holds our fears, our doubts, and all the truths we're afraid to face. So when someone criticizes you, especially if it feels sharp, it's worth asking, is there something deeper being touched here? That's how we shift from reaction to reflection. That's how criticism becomes a tool instead of a weapon. Here's a technique to help. The criticism filter. The next time you get feedback that upsets you, walk through these 3 steps. Pause and breathe. Don't respond right away. Let your body settle. Separate fact from emotion. Ask, what part of this feedback might be true, and what part might be someone else's projection? Explore your shadow. Ask, why did this bother me so much? What insecurity or old story might this have triggered? Let's try this in another situation. You're at a family gathering, and your aunt says, "You never make time for family anymore." You feel judged, defensive, but you pause. You breathe. You run it through the criticism filter. The fact, you've been busy. The projection, her comment might come from her own loneliness. The shadow, maybe you've been feeling guilty about your work-life balance. With that awareness, you don't snap back. Instead, you say, "I hear you. I'm working on finding a better rhythm." That's growth in motion. Or take Sarah, a freelance writer who gets a response from a client saying, "This piece isn't deep enough." It stings. She worked hard on it. But instead of reacting, she filters the feedback. She realizes she was rushing to meet a deadline. And beneath her reaction, she feels afraid she's not smart enough. That's a shadow wound. So she asks the client for more detail, rewrites the article, and ends up creating something far better. And through it all, she gains confidence. Not just as a writer, but as a person. Not all criticism is valid. Some of it is unfair, unkind, or rooted in someone else's issues. But even in those cases, the emotional reaction it causes can still teach us something. It might reveal a part of us that's hungry for validation, or a part that needs more self-trust. Carl Jung taught that even our most painful emotions are bridges to inner truth. Reframing criticism doesn't mean pretending it doesn't hurt. It means asking what the pain is trying to show you. Sometimes it's a sign you need to speak up. Sometimes it's a sign you need to believe in yourself more. But every time, it's an invitation to become more aware and more whole. When you stop taking every comment personally, you start creating space. Space between the words and your worth, between their opinion and your identity. That's where real emotional freedom begins. That's where individuation, the journey to your true self, unfolds. So the next time someone points out a flaw, pause. Ask yourself, is there something here for me to learn? Or something I need to let go? Use the criticism filter. It won't just protect your peace, it will help you grow into the person you were always meant to be. Have you ever held on to anger or resentment for so long that it felt like a heavy stone in your chest? Maybe someone hurt you deeply, betrayed your trust, dismissed your feelings, or left without explanation. And even though time moved on, part of you stayed stuck in that moment. Carl Jung taught that true transformation happens not by clinging to what hurt us, but by letting go of what no longer serves our growth. Letting go isn't about pretending nothing happened. It's not about forgetting or pretending you weren't hurt. It's about freeing yourself. Jung believed that when we hold on to negative emotions, we stay entangled with the very things that wounded us. We bind ourselves to the past and block the flow of who we're becoming. Emotional freedom requires release. Imagine your anger or your pain as something you carry, a weight on your back, a knot in your chest. At first, you hold it to protect yourself. It reminds you not to trust, not to risk. But over time, it becomes a burden. It wears you down. Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And to become something new, you must put down what no longer belongs." Let's meet Emma. She's a 29-year-old artist who was betrayed by her best friend, Claire. 2 years ago, Claire spread rumors at work that cost Emma a promotion. For months, Emma couldn't let it go. She replayed the betrayal, imagined confrontations, and carried the pain like armor. But that anger didn't protect her. It only drained her creativity and joy. One day she realized Claire had moved on, but she was still carrying the wound. Inspired by Jung's teachings, Emma tried a powerful exercise. She sat quietly, closed her eyes, and imagined her anger as a heavy rock. She pictured herself holding it, feeling its weight, and then slowly setting it down. She didn't forget the pain, but she stopped letting it define her. That small act of imagination became a turning point. Her energy returned. Her creativity blossomed. She began to feel like herself again. Jung believed that what we don't let go of, we become imprisoned by. Our shadow, the hidden part of us, feeds on old pain. It wants us to stay stuck in the past. But when we bring that pain into awareness and choose to release it, we shift, we grow. Letting go doesn't change what happened, but it changes your relationship with it. And that's where healing begins. Here's a simple practice to try. The release ritual. Acknowledge the emotion. Say it out loud. Or write it down. I'm angry because, or I feel hurt because. Naming it breaks the silence. Visualize. Release. Picture the emotion as something physical, a balloon, a stone, a flame. Imagine yourself gently letting it go. Refocus your energy. Ask yourself, what can I do now that brings me peace? Create, rest, move forward. Choose life over replaying the wound. Let's say a coworker took credit for your idea in a meeting. You're furious. You keep thinking about it. You want them to know how unfair they were. But you try the release ritual. You write, I'm angry because I feel invisible. You imagine that anger as a red balloon. You see yourself letting it drift upward and away. Then you redirect your energy, maybe by working on your next great idea. Not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. Michael, a college student, once got a disappointing grade from a professor who said his work lacked originality. Michael was furious. He knew he worked hard, and he felt misunderstood. But as the anger lingered, it started to affect his confidence. He used the ritual. He wrote, I'm angry because I don't feel seen. He visualized his frustration as a backpack full of rocks, and then he imagined setting it down. The next day, he poured that energy into a new project and found joy again. Letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It doesn't mean what they did was okay. It means you're no longer carrying it with you. Carl Jung believed that when we stop identifying with our wounds, we reclaim our power. We become more than what hurt us. We become whole. As the philosopher Lao Tzu once said, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. You're not defined by the pain you've endured. You're defined by the peace you choose to make from it. So the next time you feel stuck, ask, what am I still holding on to? And what would it feel like to finally release it? Try the release ritual, not for them, for you, for your freedom, for your next chapter. Because the moment you let go, you step into a life that no longer waits on the past to change. Have you ever been stuck in traffic, running late, your phone dying, and everything inside you bubbling with frustration? It's in those moments, when nothing seems to go your way, that peace feels the farthest. But Carl Jung's work reminds us that peace isn't found in perfect circumstances. It's built within, and one of the most powerful tools for returning to that inner balance is something simple but often overlooked: gratitude. Gratitude doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means shifting your focus, choosing to see what's still good, even when things aren't going your way. Jung believed that many of our emotions come from being disconnected from our deeper self. When we're overwhelmed by frustration or disappointment, it's usually because our outer world and inner world are out of sync. Gratitude realigns them. It reconnects us to what matters. When we focus only on what's wrong, we feed the part of ourselves that feels powerless. That's when our shadow starts to take over. The part that wants to control, to judge, to lash out. But gratitude softens that edge. It reminds you that there's still beauty, still purpose, still light, even in difficult moments. It's not about denying the shadow. It's about integrating it with conscious awareness. Let's meet David, a 40-year-old delivery driver. One day, everything goes wrong. A customer yells at him for being late. Traffic is a nightmare. His phone dies. He feels the anger rising fast. But instead of staying stuck in that state, He pauses and asks, "What can I be grateful for, even now?" He thinks, "I still have a job. I still have music to lift my mood. I still have a chance to start fresh tomorrow." That shift doesn't fix the day, but it transforms his relationship to it. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Gratitude isn't about pretending life is easy. It's about consciously choosing to see beyond the temporary discomfort. When you do that, the tension inside you begins to release. You stop identifying with the frustration, and you start living from something deeper. Here's a simple tool: the gratitude reset. Pause and notice. When you're feeling upset or tense, stop. Don't fight it. Just notice the emotion. Find 3 things. Look for 3 things, however small, that you're grateful for. Could be a warm drink, a friend, your health. Reframe the moment. Ask, how can I see this situation differently? Use gratitude to shift your focus from what's missing to what's meaningful. Let's try it in a real-life moment. You're at work, and a coworker snaps at you. You feel disrespected. Your instinct is to respond sharply, or to shut down. But you try the gratitude reset. You pause. You breathe. You name the emotion. I feel disrespected. You find 3 things. I'm grateful for my resilience. I'm grateful for the teammate who supported me earlier. I'm grateful for coffee that's keeping me awake. Then you reframe. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe I don't need to carry their tone. Just like that, the tension begins to loosen. Maria, a nurse, had a long, exhausting shift. One patient snapped at her over a small delay. She felt unappreciated and angry. But instead of holding on to it, she paused. She thought, I'm grateful for the patients I helped today. I'm grateful for the skills I've developed. I'm grateful for the team who supports me. That small shift didn't erase the stress, but it grounded her. It gave her the strength to finish the shift with purpose instead of resentment. Gratitude doesn't make pain disappear. It just reminds you that pain isn't all there is. Jung's work teaches us that when we balance what's happening on the outside with insight from the inside, we step into real power. Gratitude is one of the most direct ways to do that. It builds emotional resilience. It makes your inner world stronger than the chaos around you. You don't have to wait for big miracles to feel grateful. In fact, it's the small things: sunlight through the window, a kind word, the smell of something cooking, that rebuild peace brick by brick. The more you notice them, the more you train your mind to stay grounded, even when life isn't smooth. Carl Jung believed that we are all in the process of becoming. And each time you choose gratitude instead of anger, calm instead of reaction, you're choosing the version of yourself that is whole, steady, and fully alive. That's not just healing, that's transformation. So the next time frustration shows up, stop and ask, what's still good right now? Try the gratitude reset. It may not change the situation, but it will change you. And that's where real peace begins. Not outside, but within. You've come a long way, from understanding your shadow and learning to pause before reacting, to setting boundaries, reframing criticism, releasing what weighs you down, and practicing gratitude. Each step has brought you closer to your core. Carl Jung didn't just offer insights into the mind. He gave us a path, a way to uncover the hidden self and live with depth, clarity, and peace. This is the power of individuation, and this is what it means to become unshakable. When someone says something cruel, when plans fall apart, or when life throws you into uncertainty, these tools don't just keep you calm, they connect you to who you truly are. That's the shift. You stop reacting to life. You start responding from awareness. You become the author of your inner world. Jung believed that by making the unconscious conscious, you free yourself from being a puppet of your emotion. It all begins with facing your shadow. That means noticing when your anger is about more than just what happened. Asking, what old fear or belief is being triggered. When you look inward, you don't get stuck. You get clarity. You take back the parts of yourself you once hid away. And in doing so, you stop giving your power to people who don't even know they're holding it. Next comes the 3-second pause. That sacred space between stimulus and response. It's small, but it's everything. In those few seconds, you choose whether to let someone else write your story or stay anchored in your own. That pause helps you move from emotional reaction to conscious action. It makes you stronger than your triggers. Then there's the boundary blueprint. It reminds you that saying no isn't rejection. It's protection. Boundaries are how you protect your peace without needing to explain it to everyone. They're how you teach others how to treat you. Not with anger or distance, but with quiet certainty that your energy matters. You've also learned how to filter criticism. Not everything people say deserves space in your heart, but some feedback, especially the kind that stings, can become a mirror. Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. By separating fact from feeling and examining what's being touched inside, you turn criticism into fuel for growth." And then there's letting go. One of the hardest things, yet one of the most healing. Whether it's a grudge, a regret, or a person who wronged you, when you let go, you don't lose. You gain freedom. The release ritual taught you how to name the emotion, visualize its departure, and shift your focus towards something that uplifts. Not because what happened was okay, but because you're done carrying it. Finally, you've tapped into gratitude. A quiet but powerful force that brings you back to yourself when life feels loud. When practiced regularly, it doesn't just comfort you in hard moments. It rewires the way you think. Gratitude turns chaos into clarity and peace into a practice, not just a feeling. All of these tools are connected. They work together to help you reclaim your inner ground, your calm, your strength. Jung never promised a life without struggle. But he showed us that struggle could become a doorway, a sacred path inward. Each reaction you slow, each emotion you examine, each choice you make from awareness, these are the steps toward becoming whole. The world won't stop being messy. People will still be rude. Circumstances will still shift, and frustration will still find you. But with these tools, you won't be shaken the same way. You'll pause, reflect, choose, and that choice, repeated over time, shapes a life that no longer sways with the moods of others. Carl Jung called individuation the process of becoming the person you were always meant to be. And you're doing it. Not by becoming someone new, but by finally meeting all the parts of yourself with love, awareness, and truth. So, as we prepare to close this journey, ask yourself, which of these tools do I need to practice more today? Maybe it's pausing. Maybe it's letting go. Maybe it's setting that one boundary. Pick one, use it, and trust that each time you do, you are stepping deeper into your power. Take a breath. You've just walked through a path many never take, a path inward, a journey through your emotions, your triggers, your fears, your growth. And maybe for the first time, you've realized this truth. No one else holds your peace. Not your boss, not your family, not the rude stranger, not the person who hurt you. Only you do. And Carl Jung's work has shown us what. Jung didn't give us shortcuts. He gave us mirrors. He invited us to meet ourselves. Not just the polished parts we show the world, but the deeper, quieter places inside. The shadow, the reactive self, the scared child, the wisdom buried beneath pain. He taught that when you bring light to the dark no longer controls you. That's what you've been doing. Step by step, learning to understand your anger, to pause before reacting, to set loving limits, to hear feedback without collapsing, to let go of resentment, to choose gratitude over bitterness. These aren't surface habits. These are deep, transformational acts. This is emotional maturity. This is spiritual freedom. This is individuation. You've learned how to write your own response instead of letting others write your story. You've seen that the coworker's tone, the family judgment, the missed opportunity, those things are not who you are. They're simply moments. But how you meet those moments, that's your power. And every tool you've picked up along the way brings you closer to your truth. Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. But what's more terrifying is going through life reacting, blaming, and repeating patterns without ever knowing why." You've broken that cycle. You've chosen awareness over autopilot. That's courage. That's consciousness. That's growth. The world around you may stay the same, but you won't be the same inside it. That's the difference. Where you used to feel triggered, you'll feel calm. Where you used to shrink, you'll stand tall. Where you used to replay the hurt, you'll choose to release it. You'll move from feeling like life is happening to you, to realizing life is happening through you. This is the beginning of emotional freedom. Not because life gets easier, but because your inner world gets stronger. You now have the tools, the pause, the boundary, the journal, the filter, the ritual, the reset. You are no longer at the mercy of other people's words, moods, or opinions. You're anchored in your own truth. And nothing is more powerful than that. It won't be perfect. There will still be hard days. You'll still get triggered. You'll still forget to pause. And that's okay. Because now you know how to return to yourself, to come back to center. That's what these tools are for. They don't make you emotionless. They make you emotionally wise. So what now? Take one of these tools with you into tomorrow. Use it, share it, teach it, write it down. Let it become part of how you move through the world. The more you use them, the more natural they become. And the more you practice, the more peace you create. Not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Remember, emotional mastery doesn't come from avoiding triggers. It comes from understanding them. Not from changing the world, but from changing the way you walk through it. You are no longer ruled by your reactions. You are ruled by your awareness. And that makes you unshakable. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That privilege is yours now. You've earned it. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep doing the inner work. Keep choosing peace over noise. This is your journey, and it's just getting started.